Have you ever wondered how on earth a teenage whale could possibly be the daughter of a crab? After all, she's a mammal while he's a crustacean. Biologically speaking, that equation just doesn't add up. But at the same time, there are several theories about how this could have happened, and I'm pretty sure you haven't heard most of them yet. One of the wildest theories about the teenage whale claims that Pearl's real father is actually a professional thief who ended up in jail after trying to rob the Krusty Krab, leaving his baby daughter behind to be raised by Mr. Krabs. According to this theory, years before the show's events, a whale criminal, the same one we see in the episode where Plankton is in prison, was a single dad who'd fallen on hard times. Unable to support his newborn daughter after losing his wife during childbirth, he decided to commit one last big heist, robbing the safe of the most profitable restaurant in Bikini Bottom, the Krusty Krab. But what he didn't expect was that the place had an ultra-modern security system designed by Mr. Krabs himself, who has always been obsessed with protecting every last penny of his profits. And of course, the secret Krabby Patty formula from Plankton. During the robbery, everything went wrong. The whale father was caught and arrested by the marine police, but the most shocking part is that he had brought little Pearl with him, a baby whale still in diapers, clutching a starfish-shaped toy. As the guards hauled the criminal away, Mr. Krabs found the crying baby on the restaurant floor, surrounded by coins and burger crumbs. At that moment, the greedy crustacean felt something unusual. Even though his shell-covered heart was tough as coral, he couldn't just leave her there alone. So he decided to raise her as his own daughter, registering her as Pearl Krabs. This theory even claims that Pearl's imprisoned father still tries to write letters to her from his cell, but Mr. Krabs intercepts and hides them all, afraid the truth might destroy their bond. But he won't stay in prison forever. So imagine if Pearl's real father finally got released after all these years and returned to Bikini Bottom, and teenage Pearl found out the truth about her past. Meanwhile, Mr. Krabs would desperately try to hide the secret and stop the reunion, leading to a mix of dramatic, funny, and even emotional moments in a possible future episode that could be called SpongeBob: The Origin of Pearl. Nickelodeon, if you're listening, call me for the script. But of course, this isn't the only theory explaining how Pearl became Mr. Krabs' daughter. There are many others, including one so dark it connects Pearl's mother directly to the creation of the Krabby Patty formula. That one kept me awake for nights. Get ready because your mind is about to be blown. Before we dive into the creepiest theory of all, let's talk about another idea. One that says Mr. Krabs might have found and rescued Pearl after she got accidentally separated from her biological whale family. According to this theory, everything started, of course, with a lost dollar bill. One random day in Bikini Bottom, the old crustacean was walking home from the Krusty Krab when he spotted something shiny in the distance. It was a crisp, brand new dollar floating gently through the ocean currents. His eyes lit up, and without thinking twice, he chased after it as if it were the most precious treasure in the sea. And let's be honest, if there's anything that can make Mr. Krabs move faster than a hungry shark, it's the sound of money drifting underwater. The dollar floated past shells, corals, and even SpongeBob's house. Nothing, absolutely nothing, could stop Mr. Krabs from catching that bill. But then a sudden ocean breeze pushed it toward a small crying whale. It was Pearl, still just a baby. According to the theory, she had gotten lost from her family during a migration. Maybe you didn't know, but whales travel thousands of miles every year during migration seasons. For instance, humpback whales swim all the way from the North Pole to Hawaii. During these long journeys, it's not unusual for baby whales to get separated by strong currents. That's exactly what might have happened to Pearl, who ended up far away from her family, in Bikini Bottom. When Mr. Krabs saw that tiny whale crying alone, holding the dollar bill between her fins, something changed inside him. He looked at the money, then at the little whale. And from that moment on, the owner of the Krusty Krab decided to adopt her. Of course, before leaving, he also picked up that $1 bill, which, according to the theory, he still keeps folded and hidden inside the Krusty Krab's safe to this day. In the end, this theory shows that Mr. Krabs, even though he's stingy, actually has a heart bigger than any vault in the Krusty Krab. Among all the theories about Pearl's origin, this one is by far one of the saddest and most shocking. It suggests that Mr. Krabs not only met Pearl's mother, but that he was also responsible for her death, accidentally. The story begins many years before the events of the series, back when Mr. Krabs was still a young entrepreneur, trying to make the Krusty Krab work. At that time, he was obsessed with finding the perfect ingredient that would make his Krabby Patties the success we know today. The accident happened while SpongeBob's current boss was testing a cheap experimental pressure cooker. That's when it exploded, sending fire and metal fragments flying all over the restaurant. And at that very moment, an adult whale, Pearl's mother, happened to be nearby. The explosion hit her directly, and she didn't survive. Amid the wreckage and smoke, the crab found a small baby whale crying under a wooden plank. It was baby Pearl. Seeing the tiny, trembling Pearl all alone, he made a decision. He would raise her as his own daughter, as a way to atone for his mistake. Even though it's a rather dark theory, it doesn't even come close to the next one, which actually kept me awake for a couple of nights. But first, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Behind SpongeBob's innocent smile and the irresistible smell of Krabby Patties, there's a secret that few dare to face: the true origin of the Krabby Patty. And it all begins with an old story, long before the Krusty Krab became the most famous restaurant in Bikini Bottom. Years before opening his own restaurant, the young Eugene Krabs worked in a shady diner owned by an old shark named Brutus Finn, known for serving the juiciest burgers in the ocean. Krabs was just a curious helper who wanted to learn the secret behind that perfect meat. One day, the elderly shark Brutus, already sick and near death, called Eugene over and said, "The greatest secret of my burger is that the meat comes from whales." Then he took his last breath and left this world forever. After Brutus's restaurant closed, Eugene Krabs tried opening his own, the Krusty Krab, but his patties were a total failure. That's when he remembered the old shark's words, whale meat. Driven by greed and ambition, Krabs decided to do the unthinkable, to hunt a whale. He set out alone with an improvised harpoon and a lantern, sailing through the dark depths of the ocean until he found a female whale swimming with her calf. And when he finally cornered her, he took her down. All that meat would be enough to supply the Krusty Krab for years, a frozen stock kept in secret chambers, hidden from everyone's eyes. Days later, Krabs heard a sound. It was the baby whale of the one he had hunted, crying and alone. He looked at the little whale, took her home, named her Pearl, and raised her as his daughter. But he didn't do it out of love. He did it because Pearl would be his backup supply. When all the meat from her mother was gone, Krabs planned to use the daughter to keep his business running. That at least was his original idea, but the years went by. Pearl grew up and the old crab grew attached. He realized he could never bring himself to do to her what he did to her mother. That's why on the day the last Krabby Patty is finally served, Mr. Krabs will shut down the Krusty Krab forever. How Mr. Krabs could possibly be Pearl's father is one of the oldest and most mysterious questions in the entire SpongeBob SquarePants universe. I mean, how can a crab, a crustacean, be the father of a whale, a gigantic marine mammal? It's biologically impossible. But down in Bikini Bottom, it seems like the laws of biology decided to take a vacation. According to the official book SpongeBob SquarePants Book of Curiosities released by Nickelodeon, Mr. Krabs was once married to Mrs. Krabs. And here's where things get interesting. The book never shows what Mrs. Krabs actually looks like. So believe it or not, that mysterious Mrs. Krabs could very well be Pearl's biological mother, which would explain why Pearl also carries the Krabs last name. In other words, she might have been a whale, making Pearl her biological daughter. And considering the wild logic of cartoons, Mr. Krabs himself could easily be Pearl's biological father too. After all, in a world where you can light a campfire underwater, where a tiny creature like Plankton builds giant machines and even marries his computer, literally anything can happen, including a crab having a daughter with a whale. And honestly, that would explain a lot about his personality. Think about it. He was married to a huge whale, and to this day, he clearly prefers larger women like Mrs. Puff, his well-known crush. So yeah, Mr. Krabs definitely seems to have a type, doesn't he? But on second thought, there's another theory that fits just as well. What if Mr. Krabs is simply the loving and cheap stepfather who raised Pearl, not her biological dad? Think about it. If Pearl is a whale and Mr. Krabs is a crab, it makes way more sense that she was adopted, or perhaps came from his late wife's previous relationship. Behind the scenes, series creator Steven Hillenburg once mentioned in an interview that some things in SpongeBob SquarePants aren't meant to make biological sense. But he also hinted that the idea of Pearl being adopted isn't wrong. It's just something the show never fully explored, and actually the series has dropped a few subtle clues about this. For example, the crab's house is way bigger than the average Bikini Bottom home. That could mean it was originally built to accommodate an adult whale, Pearl's mother. So the most logical explanation is that Mr. Krabs married Mrs. Krabs, who was a whale. Pearl might have been her little baby from another relationship, but after Mrs. Krabs passed away or disappeared, Mr. Krabs decided to raise Pearl on his own. That's why he loves her as if she were his own flesh and shell, even if she's not his biological daughter. And honestly, that makes the story even sweeter. Now tell me in the comments, do you think Pearl is his biological daughter, his adopted daughter, or could there be an even crazier explanation hiding somewhere deep in the ocean? That wraps up our list of theories. And if you think this one was wild, just wait until you see our next video. You definitely won't want to miss it. In the meantime, go ahead and check out either of these two videos popping up on your screen right now.